Hello, good game. Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're all having a magical day. Thank you so much for taking the time to support the channel. INNISTRAD is here. We have new mechanics, spoilers being released, getting to see some new cards. There's new lands. We get a whole bunch of concept art, and they are teasing a couple things to us as well, which is a lot of fun. So we're going to break down all of that and more. They just finished the press release. I took some screenshots throughout to highlight to you guys, right? The important stuff, the jelly within these donuts, right? The only things that you care about. So like the video to help support the channel, subscribe as well if you haven't done so already, and potentially maybe even become a Patreon via the Linktree link in the description below. Thanks again. I really do appreciate the time you spend here with me and the channel. Let's take a look at INNISTRAD Midnight Hunt. All right, so first off, we have the creatures of INNISTRAD. These are the creature types that we will see in the set. Humans, vampires, zombies, werewolves, geists, witches, and warlocks. From what I can understand, the witches and warlocks will be a subtype of humans, so they might overlap a little bit there. You could also potentially have the humans and vampires overlap a little bit, maybe. I'm not too sure. It was made pretty clear that werewolves will be the dominant creature type in this set. Vampires will be sprinkled in, but they'll focus on them in the next set, right? So it's basically humans and werewolves, and then we've got the geists, the witches, and warlocks, zombies on the side. So with that out of the way, moving on, we've got a new mechanic right out of the gate, Disturb. For Beloved Beggar, this is going to be a great example. For 2, a 0/4, it's not the greatest card, but you can utilize it early game, right? It's better than having a 6-drop that you can't cast later on, right? However, if you have it late game and the mana to do so, you can cast it for the Disturbed cost. And this is great. So if you do so, you can actually cast it from your graveyard for that cost, right? So it comes out early as a 2-mana 0/4. Something happens to it, it dies, at which point you can cast it from your grave for the Disturbed cost, and it will come back as a transformed creature, Generous Soul, a spirit, flying, vigilance, 4/4, and if it would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead, right? So that means you can't be recasting the Disturbed to bring it out over and over and over again. I really do like this. It's going to smooth over the mana curve because you're getting utility out of your cards early game with that 2 mana, and then late game with that 6 mana, both within 1 card. So, that's really great to see, and I'm looking forward to getting a look at the other Disturbed card because, maybe this one's not super playable outside of Limited, but I bet there will be some that we can use within Constructed, right? We have another new mechanic, Decayed. This one's really cool. So the Rot Cleaver for 4 is a 3/3 legendary creature, zombie warrior, and this is actually the first advertised commander that they showcased within the new commander decks, and a good example to highlight the new Decay mechanic. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decay, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decay, right? Decay states that it cannot block, and when it is sacrificed, when it attacks, you sacrifice it at the end of combat. Which is pretty cool, right? So when that creature is sacrificed, you get to create another zombie. And at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie if you do draw a card. So we will have more explanation on this as we go. I know I'm probably doing a terrible job at it, but it can't block, right, your zombie, as it has Decay. This creature specifically doesn't have Decay, but it references Decay on another creature, and those zombie tokens that you come or make into play could potentially have Decay on them, right? So Decay just states that it can't block. When it attacks, you sacrifice it at the end of combat, which is really cool, right? So moving on, new mechanic, Coven. The Autumn Sovereign for 4, a 0/4 with Coven, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control, and then if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, draw a card, right? So, not doing a ton, and I believe this is the second commander that they've showcased to us here. We see the commander symbol there. It's not the INNISTRAD symbol. So, again, probably not super playable in commander, but it is a great card to reference the new mechanic, Coven. We have a constructed mechanic here, Daybound and Nightbound to highlight, and this is really exciting with the werewolf theme in the game. Arlen, the Pax Hope, and Arlen, the Moon's Fury. We have 3 different arts to showcase you guys. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the card. It is a 4 mana value Gruul Planeswalker with 4 loyalty, Daybound. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night the next turn. And then we'll scroll down to Moon's Fury with Nightbound. If a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes day the next turn, right? So if you're not casting any spells, it goes to night, and then you have to cast 2 spells to get it to go back to day. With that out of the way, one of my favorite things I've seen today is this +1 ability. Until your next turn, you may cast a creature spells, or not even a creature spell, but multiple creature spells as though they had flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Holy Toledos. Can anyone say Naya aggro? I certainly can. -3, create 2 2/2 wolf creature tokens. You know, very good value there as well. So as far as I'm concerned, Arlen, the Pax Hope, will definitely see play. That +1 ability is fire. The -3 ability is really good as well. And then we look at Moon's Fury. +2. Anytime you see a Planeswalker with +2, you know it's going to get dirty. To just ramp, add Gruul mana, 1 red, 1 green to your mana pool. And then 0 until end of turn, the Moon's Fury will become a 5/5 werewolf creature token with trample, indestructible, and haste, which is insane. So you're going to put in some damage there. And just to give you a zoom in of the alternative arts here as well, because it's looking spicy, right? This is really nice stuff. Yeah, looking forward to that as we zoom back out here within our presentation. We'll make our way to the next slide. And we have Secrets of the Key for 1 mana instant speed. Some returning mechanics for us to be shown here. Investigate. If the spell was cast from the graveyard, investigate twice instead. To investigate, create a colorless clue artifact, and then you can pay 2 to sack it to draw a card, which is pretty nice, right? And then we can cast it again from our graveyard via the flashback for 4 mana, which is just a great time. So there's going to be some returning mechanics here through investigate and flashback. And then we look at the basic lands, right? The Showcase Eternal Night lands, looking pretty spicy here. We have the dual lands, which is sick, and these are the borderless versions. Entering the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Wow, these go with the snarls perfectly, and we get to fill some of those colors that we did not have access to with the snarls as well, right? So this is really going to help the mana base. Excited for that. New creatures. Standard frame, Showcase Eternal Night frame, or cosmetic here as well. This is a legendary creature, Human Wizard for 2, a 1/1, and at the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decay, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decay. It can't block. When it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat, right? Really, really cool stuff. So the fact that we can be making a zombie army relatively easily through tokens is always great to see. And, you know, this alternative art is just ridiculous as well. You know, a good card. I'm not entirely sure how competitive it will be, but, you know, it's pretty good value for 2 mana. It's always nice to see some cheap rares. And then we have Sigarda, Champion of Light, a 4/4 for 4. Flying Trample. Humans you control get +1/+1. Love to see it. With Coven. Whenever Sigarda attacks, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a human card from among them, put it into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Into your hand is not as great as into the battlefield, but it's still a great time. And then we get the alternative art, which is nice to see as well. Moving on. Tolvar, Dire Overlord, and the Midnight Scourge. The Overlord for 3 mana is a 3/3, and whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Uh-oh, that is good. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more wolves and or werewolves, it becomes night. Then transform any number of human werewolves you control via the Daybound side, right? So this is that Daybound, Nightbound mechanic again, with an alternative switch mechanic bringing it into Nightbound, which is pretty cool. And then whenever, as the Midnight Scourge, a werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card as well. So they both share that ability. We can also pay 2 + X to give target wolf or werewolf you control +X/+0 and trample until the end of turn, which is really, really powerful. It's going to be great to see this creature. Gruul looks strong, but I think we might throw white into it as well, but we'll have to see. And then finally, you guys, Teferi is here to save the day, officially leaked. We can 100% expect a Teferi Planeswalker. We get the art, right? The standard art, the borderless art. You know, as far as the lore goes, the day-night cycle is out of sync, and, you know, that's threatening the population of humans, and they recruit Teferi to help cast a massive spell, which your boy loves to do, to help, you know, put things back in order. So I'm really looking forward to that. And, you know, that brings us right back to the start. And that's what we have to look forward to within Innistrad. So I'm really excited for that. And hopefully we get a lot more cool things to check out as well. Of course, you know, I'll be highlighting all of the latest and greatest as it comes available to us. Thanks for your time and attention. Let me know what you guys are excited to see within the set in the comments below. And of course, have a magical day. Don't forget to like the video on your way out, and we'll see you soon in the next.